Hello, everyone. I'm Hilary Thompson with Portent Digital Marketing Agency out of Seattle, and I'm going to talk to you today about influencer marketing on YouTube. I started the influencer marketing program a few years ago, and we started out on YouTube for a variety of reasons, which I'll go into, but now we're on many platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch. But today I'd like to specifically call out why we love YouTube as a platform and what it looks like for us. So I'll go into why we do influencer marketing on YouTube, the metrics and negotiations that go into these campaigns, managing these campaigns. They're incredibly complex, and some case studies with some results. So I don't think anyone's really asking why influencer marketing these days. It's incredibly successful for many companies and products. And in my professional opinion, the reason why that is the authenticity in which these influencers engage with their audience and promote these brands and these products. In my experience, influencers turn down opportunities to promote products all the time because they don't feel strongly about them. And so there's a very strong sense of authenticity, and people pick up on that. People appreciate that. I think with advertising, people have lost trust in brand messages. And so coming from a third party, someone they trust, someone they follow, they engage with those recommendations at a much higher rate. So why specifically YouTube? We are a search company primarily. We are well known for our SEO, and YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. So it makes sense for our clients to have a presence there. And influencer marketing is a great way to do it. We place integrated ads that are baked into a video on YouTube for a lifetime, until the influencer deletes it, which in my experience has never happened yet. The neat thing about that is that we're paying for a permanent advertisement on the internet. And so we have actually seen conversions roll in from ads that we placed 3 years ago, which is incredible. That means the CPA, the cost per acquisition, is always going down. It's never going to stagnate. And we love that. And we've also found a way to get the most out of our contracts. YouTube is the most expensive platform to conduct influencer marketing on. That being said, I believe it's worth it, and I'll go into why. So to evaluate whether YouTube as a platform is right for you, and influencer marketing in general, do you have a product or something that the influencer can try and recommend? That is very helpful. Do you have the ability to make a landing page or a promo code for each influencer? That is helpful in measuring the impact that each influencer has on your brand and your goals. Is there an audience on YouTube that would be interested in the product? Some products are very niche, and so can you find enough influencers to work with? That is a factor. And then also, do you have assets to provide? It's nice to be able to provide the influencers with video and digital assets, so that when they create their ads, they have some things from the brand to work with. So what exactly is an integrated ad? There are 3 types of integrated ads: pre-roll, mid-roll, and end-roll, and they all have to do with the timing of placement. So for an ad, an influencer is going to make a video about subject X. Anyway, now they are going to be inserting an ad and a recommendation for your product within that video. They can either have that ad come at the beginning of the video, which is a pre-roll ad, in the middle of the video where they've introduced the video, they've talked a little bit about it, but first I'd like to recommend this particular product that I've been trying. It relates in this way and that sort of thing. and they talk about it, and then they say, now let's get back to this subject. So that's a mid-roll ad. End-roll ads come at the very end of the video. We recommend placing only mid-roll ads. If you have to negotiate with your influencer, pre-roll is the second best option. And the reason why is because of drop off in engagement. We find that people fast forward through pre-roll ads, they drop off before end roll ads, but mid-roll ads, they're already engaged. And so they tend to just stay and listen. It also helps if the ad is in the influencer style. We have very little creative control over what ads our influencers are creating. We do approvals. We watch the ad. We make sure it complies, that it's nothing egregious or that doesn't fit with the brand, or that it follows the talking points, that it hits the main talking points. But we want the influencer to do this ad in their own style, because their followers expect it, and we want it to be an authentic voice. And when we remove that authenticity, it's lost. So we supply bullet points, talking points, please cover these kind of issues, but we allow a lot of creativity and flexibility. The ads are also baked in and permanent, and I already talked about the advantages of that. So we meet with our clients to determine the right influencers, the right partners. What does this partner look like? What are their characteristics? What are the essentials? What are the areas of expertise? What are the topics that you're comfortable with having your ad in the middle of the video about? So there are all sorts of influencers on the internet. This is just a small list of the type of influencers we work with. But that initial discovery phase is essential to make sure you align with the correct partners. As far as budget goes, how much do I spend on YouTube? It's a common question I get. YouTube is expensive, but you can really spend as little or as much as you want. We suggest a minimum of $10,000 a month to start out with, just because of the time and energy and effort it takes to find these influencers, to get on their calendars, the expense of the ads, and also the impact, right? If you're only spending $1,000 a month, you're not going to see a lot of lift. So, but I have spent up to $175,000 a month. So it's really, really up to you and what kind of impact you want to have. Start small, and with success, add to your budget. So this is just a summary of why YouTube. We can also connect and remarket to people who have watched the video. So there's a way to do that where you can directly remarket to people who have watched these integrated ads. So you get that. You can also ask for additional social posts as part of the contract. You can say, hey, when you post your video on YouTube, I want you to do a shout out on Facebook, letting your viewers know that it's out there and that we sponsored it. That's a great thing to add to the contract. You can add usage fees to the contract so that you can actually take those video assets and use them in your paid social and your paid promotions. So there's a lot of flexibility with these contracts. Work with a good legal team is my suggestion to make sure you've covered your bases with your contracts. So we use data at Portent to determine whether we're going to renew or not. So we look in GDS, we're connected to Google Analytics. We are tracking all the landing pages we've created. We look at cost per acquisition. How much is it costing to place this ad? How much are they converting? Is this an awareness play? Are we looking at cost per view or cost per impression? Or are we looking at cost per acquisition? Do we want conversions to be our primary KPI? So we take all this into account and we monitor it closely. How well are our influencers performing? We look at that month to month, but we really look at it over time because like I said, we see conversions from 3 years ago, right? So if your target CPA is say $75 in acquisition and your cost per acquisition for influencer A is $300, it's not great. But in a year from now, your cost per acquisition could be down to that $75 goal. So we're always looking back at influencers we work with. Has their CPA come down? Have they improved over time? Has their performance gotten better? This is a long play. YouTube is a long play. So you want to constantly be reassessing. So these analytics are crucial to your campaign. We also negotiate contracts. We know as an agency what those are worth. So we say to these influencers, how much do you charge for this 60-second ad? And they say, I'm going to charge you $5,000 for this ad. And we know as an agency that this ad is only worth $3,000. So we come back and say, hey, we can pay $3,000, let's do 3 ads for $9,000. There's a lot of back and forth. They counter, we counter. It's a lot of relationship building. It's a lot of trust building. But over time, we've been able to save our clients a lot of money. And I know that there are very few agencies that do this. Many just take face value for what the influencer is pitching. And that's not always wise. And so they overspend their clients' money. And this has been a way for us to get the most value for our clients over time and also build that relationship of trust with the influencers we work with. So managing these campaigns, they are involved. So we have to create new landing pages or promo codes. We have to field all the invoices, that the influencers give us. We have to make sure everyone's getting paid on time. We typically pay net 30, but that's a lot of back and forth. We offer feedback on all the videos. So the influencers have to send us their video and give us at least 2 business days to review those videos, offer any feedback. They come back with changes. We go back and forth a lot. We also manage product placement if that is an issue, providing promo codes for the influencer to try the product, shipping product out to the influencer to try in advance, that sort of thing. We also look at minimum view counts. It's possible in the contract we say your video has to hit 100,000 views in order for us to pay you X. So there's a lot of monitoring that goes on. The contracts, as I mentioned before, are very complex. There's a lot of back and forth. Some influencers negotiate their contracts heavily. They send back a lot of red lines. Sometimes when you're working with managers, it's even more intense in that way. Managers, their job is to make sure their influencers are signing the right contracts. So there's a lot of back and forth. If the influencer is recommending a certain product, we have to look it up and make sure that that is the product they can use. So there's some back and forth there. Video clips, assets, that sort of thing. We're always sharing with influencers and updating, right? We can't have the influencers using the same video for an entire year. We need to be constantly refreshing that and making their ads new. And so we also customize talking points. If you have a promo that we are going to be promoting a certain deal, buy one, get one, that sort of thing, we have to update our influencers with the latest offer. As you can imagine, our inboxes, our email inboxes are out of control. So it's a lot of communication, and really it does take a team, because if someone is out on leave for a week, those influencers campaigns need to keep going. So it does help for me to have a larger team that we can all support each other in the maintenance of these campaigns. So let's look at some results. So we had a small test for a client whose main KPI was awareness. They just wanted to get their brand name out there. We had a small test spend amount of $10,500. And we were able to get 708,000 views for that spend. The cost per view ended up being 1 cent an impression, which the client was very happy with. Another client whose main KPI was conversions, we noticed that there was a 45% lower cost per acquisition on YouTube than all other paid channels. So that was amazing. It's been highly successful for this client. Their conversion rate was 4 times higher than any other channel as well. The 6.8 times likely for users to convert from a YouTube referral than any other referral. And 45% of their total conversions came from YouTube. This is a client that was running PPC, paid social, programmatic, all that stuff. And we were still 45% of their total conversions. And assists. So YouTube assisted conversions is something you should always be looking at. It is so often that someone touches a YouTube video and then converts on direct, touches a YouTube video, converts on social. I mentioned that we do remarket to people who watch the video. So it's very often that YouTube isn't the last touch, but we watch that and we see that YouTube does touch a lot of these conversions. And a lot of traffic from YouTube as well. 15% of total site sessions came for this client's YouTube engagements. So this is again looking at conversion rate, and much higher conversion rate for YouTube than all other campaigns. 3% for everyone else, 13% for YouTube. And then this is looking at 44% of all conversions came from YouTube. You can see this. These screenshots are from Google Analytics, which is what we use to primarily assess the success of our campaigns. This is also looking at total conversions. So the bars in pink are YouTube. You can see that we didn't start YouTube until July of 2019 for this client. And you can see how quickly YouTube became more than half of this client's conversions and how it took off. You can see in September of 2019, it was more than double all other platforms combined. So it's easy to become reliant on the success of this type of campaign. So I hope you've learned a little bit about influencer marketing on YouTube and the success it can create for your brand. I'd be happy to discuss this if this seems like an opportunity that you want to explore. I'd be happy if you wanted to comment in the video with questions we can answer for you, or hit us up. My email address ishthompson@portent.com. And I'd be happy to discuss this with you or answer any questions you have. Thank you for your time today, and I hope I was helpful. Goodbye.